Begin the game.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a
Fucking
big building
balloons.
where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month.
It's a wild
of every
ELO.
year. And although
ELO
others might have
427.
considered it soul-rending,
Does that
Stanley
make
relished
Marco
every moment
428?
that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
I am employee 427.
And then one day,
in some way.
something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for
And
him to
who
follow.
here is employee
No one had showed
420?
up to give him instructions, or a meeting, or even say
I'm not going to name any
hi.
names.
Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Oh, I can't even pop
Stanley
balloons.
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Bucket! Why is that block? Okay.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single
more than I care
difference,
to
nor did it advance the story
realise.
in any way.
Okay, we'll take a
Stanley
bucket.
picked up the bucket.
It's bucket time.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I confirm he does when he thinks hard.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers.
I mean, where else do you keep your leftover food? Closet's back open!
Oh, Stanley, can you feel it? The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy? It's as clear as day. This broom closet believes it deserves the bucket. I can really feel it now. It's a bucket
No.
that belongs in a broom closet. That's what the broom closet is trying to say here. It's supposed to go with the other cleaning supplies. Good for you, Stanley. Don't give in. Don't hand over the bucket. I know how hard it must be, given the pressure that the broom closet is putting on your shoulders right now, but you have to be strong. This is your bucket. This is your companion and lifelong friend. You can't hand it over. Oh, no. We're getting into name-calling now, it seems. Is this how low the broom closet has sunk, that it has to resort to this stream of petty insults simply in order to get you to hand over the bucket? Stanley, I never liked this broom closet for a variety of reasons, but even this is worse than I had imagined. And wait, now the broom closet has the gall to imply that you and the bucket are not truly deep and lasting friends?
Fuck you!
That your relationship is purely superficial and convenient?
My
that your
bucket.
life is so banal and meaningless that you'd feel the same sort of kinship towards any inanimate object which happened to lay in your path in an even partially enticing manner? Well, I'd never.
Actually,
Go
that
on,
might be
Stanley.
true.
Lay into it. Really tell the broom closet off for its demeaning comments. Expand on the wide variety of experiences you and the bucket have shared together. Go through each of them point by point. Share your journal entries detailing the rich emotional landscape of your feelings for the bucket as they have changed and
The
evolved
bucket
over the
sometimes in
years.
what game?
Let him have it. Okay, I've got you something which I think will help settle this debate once and for
Bay's
all.
bucket.
Here we go.
Property
There.
of Stanley.
Now it's settled. No more debate, no more discussion. Take a hike, broom closet, with all your meandering philosophical diatribes about the nature of cleaning supplies and their relationship to broom closets in the natural order of things.
Are we done now?
All right, I've got a second sticker back here, and I'm going to slap it on as well because I think it's appropriate. You see?
Bucket
I
is
feel
bucket.
that it works because the sticker is also a bucket. That way, if you're ever unsure whether the
Bucket
thing
is
you're holding
iPad?
is a bucket or not, you can look down at this sticker and say to yourself, ah, it's a bucket. There really is a wide variety of applications for this
Bucketception.
sticker.
Can I get more stickers? More stickers. Give me more stickers.
You know what? I could take the name-calling and the dismissal of your kinship with the bucket, but now the broom closet is just giving us the silent treatment. And to be honest, I'm sick of the pettiness on display. You can stay here all you like, but I've had it with this impetulant room of cleaning supplies.
We have a fold-up
Easily the
bucket
most
to cover under the
childish
sink
such
if
room
you
I've
want to
ever been in.
materialise a
I'll
bucket.
see you outside, and we can get on with the story about you and your bucket.
But it's not a metal bucket. We need a metal bucket now.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even
No!
now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light
Why?
pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him
I am not wearing
always.
a chum bucket.
The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket.
You say it's under the sink. Bucket! Ah, you can't see. Great. It collapses. There we go. You guys happy now?
That he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
2845, let's go! Or was there one for 8888?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination
Yeah.
was 2845.
Achievement unlocked.
But Stanley guessed
Yeah,
the
twice
correct
it
code
appears.
by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the
TheHyushi,
most
Lord of
logical
Buckets.
explanation.
Collectible!
Found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Bloop.
The elevator raced downward,
I can
plummeting
hide what,
towards
the
an
bucket at
unknown
yours?
fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Let's see what happens if we go this way with the bucket. I had to explain why I cheered. I managed to persuade my loved one to wear a bucket on his head on stream and got a very nervous chuckle in response.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Bucket is life. Bloop.
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley
Fired.
nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The
Welcome
bucket
to upper
had never
management.
seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it.
You get
His
caught with your
own
bits
life in
in your
someone
hand every
else's
time.
control. Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he
Friend.
could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking,
Right, I'm
eating, working,
gonna toast
all of
the
it
bagel,
monitored
then
and
do some
commanded
more
from this very place.
Job in before I
And as
properly
the
break for
cold
lunch.
reality of
See
his
you all
past
around
began
and
to
have
sink
fun
in,
with that.
Stanley
mad bucket
decided
life.
that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Have a
For
good
he
lunch.
and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
Bloop.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support. What? Wait.
No.
What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Let me out.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
No.
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket.
Daylight.
No.
Freedom.
Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness
Bucket is
isn't
life.
really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Okay.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
Figurine Finders Committee today meeting in the meeting room. Stickers! Okay, no rope this time. Is that significant?
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest, and this was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be.
Okay.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Nope.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do. Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked. In here, said the bucket. Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Dark room. Bucket commands.
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. Pick up the phone and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together. This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Jazz music. I want to read the mug. Guess not. Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. Press V to take me to work with you.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Let's go back home.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Go back to work. Why is it a different key? That just seems
I'll
weird.
try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think. It can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Bucket. Don't listen to the loud man. Time for us to go home.
You You see, he's not listening. He's still
No, the
taking
bucket is
orders
more
from the
than
bucket.
that.
You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now
Narrator's
all he cares about is
jealous.
this awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
Bucket! Press X to ignore anyone in life except for me. Done.
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Go back home.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware
Bucket
store
is
bucket.
life.
It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
To relive the same day with me over and over. Done.
Oh my God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Q.
Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing.
Bucket is life.
The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley. Oh yeah, that's that ending. Wait, they're relighting. This is unfair. How do people feel about heaven? I mean, can you take the bucket to heaven? I assume I need to manually restart. Let's not press that again.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go any way except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever.
Bucket is
I
life.
will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
A bucket is childproof.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from...
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest.
Jesus fucking Christ, Hilo. I forget how much I can't hear that. Ooh, we need to find them. Fuck's sake. Was that your test there, Elo? Okay, so inside the sequel exhibit, okay, and nearby a fireplace? A private but smelly place for an important person, somewhere both red and blue. Stairs sometimes to do stairs, a large room, lots of boxes.
Stanley, we must move on from this broom closet, simply because I have no remaining stickers. If I did, you can guarantee we'd be in here for hours. But alas,
Okay.
no stickers.
Thanks, Elo. Okay, I guess we leave.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Dibs.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Stanlerine.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy.
Who wasted coffee?
And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. Now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd.
Bucket's gone.
Now he felt himself floating
Hey,
off the
Poison,
ground.
how you doing?
Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
I need my
Could it
bucket.
truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing
Bucket.
by one bucket after the next.
Nope,
None of
I-
them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley! Find me!
Why
He
can't you
had to
sleep?
find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful.
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named
You can
Mariella.
fit a bucket in there. I mean, I think we established mine
Mariella woke up on a
collapses,
day
so
like any
it
other.
might fit.
She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is
The sun is out and I don't have
predetermined
anything
and free
to
will is an
these days.
illusion and it's all just a
I hate
video
that voice
game.
and I
It
can't
could all have
sleep
been
if I'm-
prevented if only he'd
the
taken
sun's
his
up.
bucket with him.
Kills me.
Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his
Wiggles!
bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work.
You did kill
But
me.
her
You
bucket
removed the
would
bucket
provide
and killed
absolute
me.
guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself. My
Booty.
life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Backflipped all the way to work. What works, Poison?
A soft wind blew outside and
Wait,
perhaps
can I-
rain started. And if it did, it stopped shortly after.
Can I take the bucket
Warmth
outside?
spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Let me up. Come on, Jet. Yeah, let me over. Yeah.
Yes, whispered the bucket into Stanley's ear. We've done it. We've escaped from that dull office and that pesky narrator. At last, out here in the white void, we are alone. Now, and for the first time, I can reveal to you my true self. The bucket began to tell Stanley of its life and its history, of the countless wars it witnessed, desecrating the land and lives of untold numbers of innocent humans, and the bucket's own complicity therein, of sadness and regret, and the many
There's
years
Willy
it
Booty
spent
with
dwelling
tail.
on the actions
Hype.
it might have taken to curb the madness
Praise
and the
Booty.
decay, if only it had been stronger, of hope and redemption, and its crusade to uplift the stock of life for the common man, to manifest justice where none existed, and the bittersweet reality of time, to see one's dreams and wishes met halfway, meted out in parcels like charity, and abandoned as soon as the warm glow of inspiration begins to dim. The opportunities to do so much more. There was so much it could have done, perhaps, the bucket wondered to itself. Perhaps, if it had seen its own darkness with a clearer perception. This was way too much for Stanley.
What are you talking about?
He screamed.
You're a bucket!
To this, the bucket furrowed its brow.
No,
Said the bucket.
not since the evil wizard Gambhorata first ensnared me
Gambhorata.
in his machinations as payback for the sacred amulet I stole from his treasured vaults. I was young back then and could not conceive the ramifications of... No!
Stanley screamed even louder this time.
This is stupid! You are a bucket! This is so stupid! Why are we even doing this?
As Stanley screamed and screamed and screamed, the bucket revealed its true form, transforming into a mighty beast of untold power, its fangs glistening like...
Rip.
My God, Stanley, you did it. You saved us from the bucket. Thank God you already had all 12 emblems of sages and knew the incantations to summon their true power. Otherwise, we would have easily been overwhelmed by the bucket's power. I'm speechless. You've demonstrated such bravery here today. Come, let's restart the game, and we'll agree to never again go trifling with this bucket, nor the dark magic cast away inside of it.